Okay, so because we're doing a bunch of photography outside of class, what we are going to do is a couple of different Photoshop tutorials. More than anything, just kind of for fun and to learn a few new Photoshop tricks and tips. So in this tutorial, what we are going to do is that we are going to take a portrait of ourselves or somebody else, and then we are going to do a type style portrait. Okay, kind of similar to this. Okay. So one of the first things that we're going to need to do is, well, get a photo. All right. So what I recommend is that you, when taking a photo, that you try to find a background to start out with that's pretty blank, right? There's really not much going on in the background. You can kind of see the difference between this and that. This with a white background is going to be substantially easier to crop it out. So look around you. Is there any walls or doors that are pretty much blank that that's going to make your life substantially easier to cut out that person. Okay, so for me, I'm obviously going to use the one with the white background. I find that whiteboards usually work pretty well for that type of stuff. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Photoshop, wait patiently, okay, and I'm going to make a new file. So I'm going to go new. I'm going to do width of 10, a height of 8 with a resolution of 300. Okay, because remember, internet resolution is about 72. Print resolution is right around 150, and then high quality photos are right around 300. So you can see it's going to be a 20.6 megabyte image. So it's pretty big, and it's just going to get bigger from there on out. Okay, because we're going to add stuff to it. I also am going to make sure I label it right away at the beginning with Nelson space title of the project, which is text portrait. Okay. All right. So I got my image here, and I'm actually all I got to do is drag it. Oh, I got two there. Just drag it and drop it, and it's going to bring it right into Photoshop. Okay. Remember Command plus to kind of zoom in. You notice there's a big X over my face right now, which means there's not much I can really do to it. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit Enter, and that says, "Yep, that's exactly where I'm going to keep it." Okay. Obviously not the most flattering picture of myself, but that's okay, right? So what we're going to do is that we need to basically cut myself out so I kind of get rid of that background information. So the way we're going to do that is something kind of similar to what we did in um, using our mask mode. So if you look on the left side of your screen, we have this little circle with inside of a rectangle. So that is called our edit and quick mask mode. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on that. And you can see right away it doesn't really look like I've done anything at all. Um, we just basically turn the quick mask mode on. I'm going to go up to my brushes, and I'm actually going to select pencil tool. You can see when I draw, it's a really thin, fine line right now. It's actually, so I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. So you can do it that way, or remember you can hit your brackets. I'm also going to zoom in. So I'm going to hit Command plus to zoom in. I'm going to get really close. I know that's disturbing. I'm going to hold down space bar to move it around. And I want to go to a corner where I'm going to just kind of get started with this. All right, so I'm going to go here to the very, very edge. And just to start out, I am going to do my whole sweater and the whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. And basically, I'm going to trace around the image that I want. And you can see it should turn pink if I'm doing it right. Okay. A couple things that are really important with mask mode is that you want your to be painting in black, and that adds. And if I switch it, and white actually gets rid of my pink. Okay, or I can use my eraser to get rid of my pink. All right, so I'm going to go to my black. And one thing that's kind of nice too is when I'm drawing, if I just hit space, or I'm sorry, shift, it'll do a straight line to wherever I want to go next. Since this is straight, all you gotta do is hit shift, click, and you can see it does it right in. So I'm basically just going to take my time. I'm going to go around this whole thing. All right, it's a little messy. The more time you take with this, the more careful you are, the better it's going to look. Okay, that's why I zoomed in so close. All right. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me do all of this. All right, so I'm going to pause it, come back, and when I'm done, you'll see that I got the whole thing traced out. So now you can see I went around, traced everything out. So the next step is to, I'm actually going to fill in this information, okay? Because everything that's going to be, here, we'll just show you. So I'm going to go to my, it looks like gradient tool right there, but if I hold down my button, you can see it's going to switch to paint bucket. So if I did it correctly, when I click on this, everything should turn pink except my face. If I went around every single part and it was a closed shape. Okay, great. All right, so I went all the way around. Everywhere is good to go. If for some reason you missed a spot, or you know, when you click here on your paint bucket, everything turns red, is because you had a hole somewhere. Okay, so what I can show you real quick. So if I erase, let's just make a hole right here, so you can see right in that small section, I missed a spot. So if I try filling it in now, everything turns pink, right? It's almost like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it, right? It's just going to go everywhere. So what we need to do is make sure we get in there, zoom back in, or just, you know, to try to find that spot, and boom, there it is, right? Now when I fill again, you can see it does a great job. Okay, you notice though there's a couple spots that I may have missed or I want to clean up. So remember, like I said, you can either use your eraser tool, go back in, right? Or on the flip side, right? If I know, look at that handsome fella. If like, oh, there's white spots that I don't want, I can go back in and draw that back in too. Okay, so you know it is. Editable, or you can fix stuff. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back out. All right. So now this is the kind of cool part. So if I hit the edit in standard mode, so it switches back, you can see now that basically it made a selection, which is great. All right. There's two things I'm going to do while I'm at this stage. I'm going to go to select, and I'm going to save my selection, just in case I might need to use it for later. So I'm going to save it as Nelson outline. Hit OK. And then here's our friend Command J. Right? And so what that did is that made it so, right? It made that extra layer and got rid of the entire background. Okay? So this is your first big step, is to get yourself singled out. Okay? So it's just me, no background. All right? So in the next video we're gonna move on to the next step.